Hello everyone, it's Danzen here. Let's continue to our day 11 of Progress With Me series, and we are already talked a lot about add decision logic to your code using if, else, and else if statement in C# yesterday in day 10. I think this one is the most important things if you're pursuing the programming stuff, since if we will gonna be using it a lot, and with else and else if statements is as well important because of the logic and the conditional statements is usually we use it every day, such as if I'm hungry I will eat. That's a kind of simple example like for your daily activity. But actually in programming it's much more complex, especially when you are in senior job such as a web developer or software developer or data science. You will be using these statements if else and else if many times. So yeah, but I think right now we're gonna be dealing with the arrays. Arrays is kind of related to data. I think database, like maybe in the multi-dimensional arrays, not just a single line of arrays, will be used much more in the real world application. So let's go through this one, store and iterate through sequences of data using arrays and the foreach statements. Okay, so we are gonna be learning about the arrays and foreach statements. Arrays and for, that's the keywords. As usual, we will gonna go to this link and then new icons, looks fresh. I see this one. Let's get into immediately to the introduction. Here. All right. So yeah, C# arrays allow you to store sequences of values in a single data structure. Not a single line, but a single data structure may be many lines, but is still considered as a single data structure. Because I see, like just spoiling you a little bit, there is like two-dimensional arrays, which is vertical and horizontal. It's available in arrays, but I think in this unit we are gonna be dealing with just one-dimensional arrays. And let's continue reading this one. In other words, imagine a single variable that can hold many values. Once you have single variables that stores all the values, you can sort the values, reverse the order. Okay, we can sort, reverse the order of the values as well, loop through each values and inspect it individually and so on. So we can inspect it individually and then we can sort the values. But the main thing is we can manipulate the values inside of the arrays here. So yeah, very come in handy for my projects, for your projects, and of course real world applications should be the same thing though. Okay, just the difference with the variables which only has one value. It only has a single value, but I think arrays have so many values, maybe around, maybe can reach unlimited. I don't think so, because our data, it's limited to just our memory, but in theoretically it can reach infinitely, I think. Okay, suppose you work in the security department of a company that match online sellers with commission-based advertisers. You have been asked to write C# code that will iterate through the order IDs of incoming orders. You need to inspect each order ID to identify order that may be fraudulent. Alright, you will need to implement arrays to accomplish these programming tasks. So there's some kind of IDs list, and in one of the some of the IDs is maybe fraudulent. Okay, our task is to implement arrays and accomplish the task by our, maybe we will gonna be using if else statements or foreach, we don't know. Let's just see the challenge in the last unit. In this module, you will create an initialize arrays. You will set and retrieve values from element in an array. Assessing each element using its index, you will create looping logic that allows you to work with each element in an array. So it's kind of create looping logic. Okay, array has related with index. Index will usually related to array. Okay, by the end of this module, you will have worked with your first structure to hold multiple data values. Later in other modules, you will learn how to sort, filter, query, aggregate, and perform other operation on your data. I just know about sort, filter, but query, aggregate may be a little bit more complex than this, but we just learn anyway. So that's why Progress With Me is on action right now. This module includes coding activities that require Visual Studio Code. Alright, so if you haven't have the Visual Studio Code available in your application, in your desktop, just install it already. In just actually go to this link, Visual Studio Code, or just search it up and go to this link, visualstudio.microsoft.com, and watch some tutorial in YouTube, or just check my YouTube video on day 8, if I remember. Okay, let's get on the next objectives here. Create and initialize a new array. Alright, we will understanding how to create and initialize a new array, assign and retrieve the values of arrays elements, iterate through each element of an array using the foreach statements. Okay, we see here this is a new thing for each in C#. I haven't reached this yet, but I know some basic of array already in other languages such as Python. Maybe it will look the same, since almost all the programming language it just has the different syntax, but actually they got the same concept. Most of them, like 90%, if I'm not wrong, and the difference is just the syntax and I think classes and methods. Alright, create and initialize a new array, assign and retrieve the values of array elements. Okay, so here what you have to know about before pursuing this module is you have to install the Visual Studio Code first, and then run the C# console application. If you haven't already installed, or just know some basics, just watch some tutorial on YouTube or just check my YouTube video on the day 8. Okay, expiration printing message to console write line. Yes, I understand this already, pretty easy. Using string interpolation, the keyword is this, the dollar sign. It's something like this, string and some variable on it, like this one. It must be start with the dollar sign as the prefix and then continue to the literal string. And if you want to put some variable, you can just put the variable exactly the same name like the previous variable, and then don't forget to put the curly braces open close. And if you want to take another variable, you can just do the same thing though, like string variable and variable 2, sort of like that. Variable 1 and variable 2. Don't forget the semicolon at the end. Oh, I forgot there should be a, where is this, parenthesis. Yes, something similar like this. Okay, that's how the interpolation thing work. Combine literal string and variable data. Okay, researching how to use methods from the .NET class library on Learn Microsoft. Okay, this is simple thing. Just search the methods. Not this one. Methods Microsoft. And I think you're gonna use this one. Where is it? Like random here. System random. All right, here. This is the collection of classes, useful classes, and their methods. If you want to use it for your purpose, for your projects, it's kind of like a public library that has so many books inside of it, and you will just take some of the books for your purpose, for your projects. Maybe you want to play a little bit with the math class, and inside of the math class or just a math section, there is like cos, floor, log, pow, which is power, round, and etc. Just continue. This right. Exercise. Get started with arrays basics. So yeah, arrays can be used to store multiple values of the same type in single variable. The values stored in array are generally related. For example, a list of students name could be stored in a string array named student. So I think, as far as I know, in those multiple values inside of the one array, it must be only have a single type of data. For example, a list of students, like there are 5 or maybe 10 of students list, it must be inside of the type of string and cannot be other than that. Yeah, sort of like that. Okay, your work in the security department is focused on finding a pattern for fraudulent orders. You want to use your code to review past customer order, and we want to track their history of our bad customer, okay, and identify a marker associated with the fraudulent orders. Your company hopes the marker can be used to identify potential fraudulent purchase order in the future before they are processed. Since you don't always know in advance how many orders you need to review, you can create individual variables to hold each other order ID. How can you create a data structure to hold multiple related values? Okay, in this exercise, you use arrays to store and analyze a sequence of order IDs. Like there are bunch of order IDs, and we don't know which one is fraudulent. Fraudulent means there is something wrong there. There is something incorrect, or just some of the orders are lying. One of the customer are lying. Our task is just to identify the potential where we can just review the past customer orders, or maybe some other methods, some other way. So that's our task here. Okay, and then we create a data structure. This is straightforward actually, because create data structure just using the arrays, and then you're done. Okay, in this exercise, I use arrays to store and analyze a sequence of order IDs. Arrays to store and analyze sequence of order. Okay, so basically, what is an array? An array is a sequence of individual data elements accessible through a single variable name. Okay, even multiple data, it's just combined into a single variable name, unlike the normal variable which only contain of single value, like integer math is equal 5. It's only content of one of our single values inside of it, but actually an array has multiple until infinite, I think. Just let's see here. Use a zero-based numeric index to access each element of an array. So zero base for C#. So it must be start from 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, as you can see, arrays allow you to collect together similar data that shares common purpose or characteristic in single data structure for easier processing. So this is what we call a data structure. This is not just a simple lesson, not just a simple learning. Data structure actually has more concept. But for right now, we will just learn about the basic data structure. One of them, it must be an array here, and the simpler one is just variable with one data, one value. Okay, all right. So like together similar data like string, and all the values must be string for the whole thing to be string. Integer must, the value of integer data type must be integer in order whole thing to be integer. Okay, shares the common purpose. All right. I don't think a variable can have multiple data types unless you manipulate afterwards. Okay, declaring arrays and accessing array elements. An array is a special type of variable that can hold multiple values of the same data type. So the declaration syntax is slightly different because you have to specify both the data type and the size of the array. Slightly different than The normal variable. Okay. It has it has a special syntax, if I'm not wrong, in other programming language, but I don't know for C sharp. Maybe it has some particular syntax. I hope it will be easy to put the syntax there, so I can just focus on the main content, on the process, or just the calculation, not just the formatting and some other useless thing. I see. Prepare your coding environment. This is pretty very straightforward actually. Let's just You can actually just read on day 8 in my video. I already elaborate about these steps by step from 1 to 10, how actually you can install and configure the C sharp inside of the Visual Studio Code. One of them, you have to install this guy, net install tool, and then C sharp, and then C sharp development kit. And this is actually an optional on, I mean, not really important for the system thing here, but it can help you actually. It's just like documentation, a built-in documentation inside of the Visual Studio Code. So this one must be IntelliCode. All right. Okay, declare a new array. How actually you declare a new array? Let's just focus on the program CS. I may close this one. All right. At this point, you have declared an array of strings. Oh wait, I haven't read this one yet. To declare a new array of string that can hold 3 elements, enter the following. Okay, it must be start with string. It means any data type. You can just type integer, you can type boolean, or maybe double if you want to do some fractional or decimal thing. Decimal is all right, but for now, just follow the documentation, the exercise ones here, which is string, fraudulent order, IDs, new string, and open close square bracket. Oh, this guy is using the square bracket. Okay, so I think 3 must be create new 3 position. So this string has like 3 position or 3 values inside of this variable arrays variable. I see there. Okay, take a minute to examine your code. The new operator creates a new instance of an array. This new means is actually create new instance of an array in the computer's memory that can hold 3 string values. So it must be like A, not this one, A, B, C. 3 values. This must be 1, 2, 3. Sort of like that, but we're not gonna use this char. Okay, that can hold 3. For more information about the new keyword, see the module call methods from the .NET class library using C sharp. About the new keywords. So that's how the new keyword works. or just actually see our previous uh, module here, which is call methods from the .NET class library using C#. Okay, let's just continue to the next one. Notice that the first set of square brackets, the first here, I think, yeah, merely tells the compiler that the variable's name fraudulent order IDs, it must be an array. That's how you differentiate between a single value of variable and multiple value of variable. The difference is separated with this guy. It's called the open close square brackets right after the data types here. Like if you have data type of integer, then you want to put open close square bracket right after it, like this, or maybe use decimal. It's the same thing. You want to put open close square bracket right after the data types, and it must be for an array. But the second set of square brackets right here indicates the number of elements that the array can hold. So this is just like initial number, like how many position or values will be implemented in this variable of array. If you put 3, then there should be three positions. If you put 5 in this guy, then there will be 5 new values will be created there. If you put 10, then it will be 10 values or positions. Yes, very simple for now. We will see it. It will, if it this one will be goes complex step day by day. Okay, this example demonstrates how to declare an array of strings. However, you can create an array of every data type, including primitives like integer and boolean, as well as more complex data types like classes. Alright, this is just a string. This example uses the simplicity of strings to minimize the number of new ideas you need to grasp as you are getting started. Okay, assign values to elements of an array. Assign values. How actually can we assign a new value to element? Like we don't know the position of the first position here. Like this guy is fraudulent must have 3 position, like position 1 and then position 2 and then position 3. We still have no clue, or this is just like a null, which is something similar with void. There is no single data in here. It's just a null position. So we're gonna be assigning value for each position. How actually we can do that? So here is the answer. Okay, at this point you have declared an array of string, but its elements of the array is still empty. It's still empty. There's no data here. There's no any value here. Yeah, still empty. To access an element of an array, use a numeric 0 base index inside of square brackets. You can assign a value to an array elements using the assignment or just equivalent as if it were a regular variable. To assign order IDs values to assign order ID values to your fraudulent order IDs, array, update your code as follows. So it starts from the 0 as index, index 0, then continue to 1 and then 2. Even though we know this is 3, it doesn't mean this guy needs to be until 3. It means it has 3 positions or 3 values, but the application here, we start the index from 0. But if we count it together, we got 1, 2, 3. So 2 should be the last thing here. Since we know that 0 is the starting point, so 0 is 1, 1 is 2, 2 is 3. So 3 is correct. Let's just copy and paste this guys. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 2. That's it. Take a minute to examine your code. Notice that you are using the name of the array to access array elements. You're using the name of the array. Yeah, I see. We use the same name as the arrays. Each element is accessed individually by specifying 0-based index number inside the square bracket. Don't forget that we have to put the open close square bracket, and inside of it we need to put the 0-based index. We call this 0-based index since it starts from 0. If it starts from 1, I think the name should be 1-based index. I didn't think so. It's just a normal thing in programming, just like the commonly other programming language, which they have the 0-based index. All right, since your array is declared as string, which one? Oh, yeah. Why did I change this guy to string, this integer, when this actually must be string? The values that you assign must also be string. If I put integer here, the value here cannot be string because the data type, the starting point here is an integer. So therefore, the value must be integer as well. But if I put string here, this is already correct because it's considered as string. It's actually literal values here, literal strings. I see there. In this scenario, you are assigning order IDs to the elements of the arrays. So these 3 lines is just the process of assigning order IDs. So we got 3 IDs already, and let's move on to the next one. Attempt to use an index that is out of bounds of the array. Use an index that is outbound. Do you mean like we use 3 or 4? Just higher than 2, which actually it's set to 3 for the 3 positions. If we add 3 here, right below of the fraudulent order IDs number 2, is it considered as out of bounds when it is actually set to 3 of the positions? Let's see here. It might not seem intuitive at first, but it's important to remember that you are declaring the count of elements in the array. However, You access each element of the array starting with 0. So to access the second item in the array, you use index 1. This we consider it as second. This is the first, second, third, and then fourth. Something like that. It's common for beginners to forget that arrays are 0 base and attempt to access an okay. It's common for a beginner to forget that array are 0 based and attempt to access an element of the array that doesn't exist. If you make this mistake, runtime exception occurs informing you that you attempted to access an element that is outside the boundary of the array. To intentionally break your application attempts to access a fourth element of your array using index value of 3. We will gonna add more the fraudulent order IDs here. The fourth one, this is we call the fourth one. Okay. So yeah, at the bottom of your code, enter the following code line. I did it already. Ensure that your code matches this example, right? On the Visual Studio Code file menu, select saves. Pretty straightforward here for the first step here. At the terminal command prompt to compile your code, type .NET build. Wait, I don't think I should run this again. I have it already here. At the terminal command prompt to run your code as usual. Just type the .NET run here. Alright, so when you run the app, you get the following runtime error message. So this is what I got if I put the out of bound numbers when it is actually, what is this? I forget the positions. Yeah, wait, I a little bit forgot what is actually that one. So here declare a new array. This is the first set. Okay, the second one, the numbers of elements. The number of elements, or just how many position will be in this variable. So something like that. Let's continue. Where was my last part? Here. The name fraudulent order IDs doesn't exist. Why is it different here? I don't get any. Wait, what about if I just copy exactly like this guy? So .NET run unhandled exception. Is there any different right with this one? Why there's I see, fraudulent, just the naming and you will get some errors. Okay, just let's run it again. Okay, this is how you read the code. Unhandled exception, system.index out of range exception. Index was outside the bounds of the arrays. This guy is out of bounds because the maximum numbers of values, it must be until 3. But this, because this is 4 for list, it's considered as out of bounds. So that's how it works. Okay. Or just the number of elements. Let's just comment this guy. We don't need that actually. And if we run it again, it must be working. You've seen how to assign. Yes, it does works. You've seen how to assign a value on array element. Now look at how to access a value that's being stored in array element. We just know how to assign a value here, but now how can we access these values? How can we manipulate the A123 here, the B456 here, and the C789 there? You will want to have an access there and try to manipulate for some purpose. Okay, retrieve values from elements of an array. We're gonna be retrieving these values of the array. Okay, accessing the value of an array works the same way as assigning a value to an array element. Work the same way as assigning a value to an array element. So if you know how to assign, maybe accessing should be not be really difficult, since it's just the same way. I think you just specify the index of the elements whose value you want to retrieve. To write the value of each fraudulent order IDs, update your code as follow. Okay, fraudulent order here. Ignore this one since this one is comment. Okay, this is how actually you retrieve the value inside of the array here. So just a literal string here. This is what we want. We want to put variable. So it's not just the variable, but you need to put right after the variable. It must be index number, 0 index number. And as the zero base concept, if you put 0 here, that means you will accessing the first line of the array. If you put the 1 here, 1 as an index, 0 base index, you will have an access to the second one here. And if you put 2, you will have an access to the third one here, the third position of array here. Okay, select save. Okay, pretty straightforward. Also just copy this one and we will see what will happen. Let me guess first. The first one will print out first, and then colon, then space, and then the fraudulent order O. So first colon, space, and A123. Okay, let's test this guy with .NET Run. Yes, exactly the same thing like what I told. Okay, what about reassign the value of an array? The element of an array are just like any other variable value. Element is as elements actually the synonym of value. I mean the variable value. Okay, you can assign, retrieve, and reassign. What is actually assign and reassign? Is it the same thing like you do assign but with some different way, I didn't know, a value to each, reassign a value to each element of the array. Okay, we will try to reassign it again, like this one. After, this is actually how you reassign the value inside of the variable, inside the array variable. Okay, at the end of the code, to reassign and then print the value of the first array element under the following code, right? Like this. So the fraudulent order ID is 0. The previous first position is A123, but we are gonna be replacing that with F000. So this literal string will be changed into F000. So yeah, let's check the result here. Yes, A123 reassign it first, F000, something like that. Ensure that your code is okay. On the Visual Studio Code file, select saves. Pretty straightforward. I did it already. Okay, initialize an array. Okay, so you can initialize an array during declaration, just like you will during declaration, just like you will a regular variables. However, to initialize the elements of the array, you use a special syntax featuring curly braces. Alright, you can an array during declaration, just like you will a regular variable. Comment out the lines where you declare the fraudulent order IDs. You can use multi-line comment to comment out the declaration of fraudulent orders ID and the line used to assign value to the array elements. So yeah, we see here. Let's just delete all the stuff here, and then we want to continue to the new variable here. This variable is considered as array variable, since the normal one's format should be something like this. So here is the normal variable and value. You don't use the curly braces right after the assignment operator here, but just immediately to read literal string. And there you go. That is the difference between the array variable and normal variable. This is, I will just call it array variable, and the bottom one down here is just a normal variable. Yeah, normal variable without any special thing. Since variable has only one container inside of it, just only one value, and it's limited to only one, it cannot be more than one, only one. But here, array variable can, it's just like container that contains a bunch of information, which some of information is what we call a data, a value, or just elements. The same thing though. Let's just say what is it, values. So this guy has three values, but the normal variable one has only one value. That's the difference. So, okay, take a minute to examine the declaration statements. Let's just copy this guy, not that. Select all here. Here, okay, for original order, FOOO. This is representing this up here. Down here is representing up here. And the final one is representing the C789. So let me give you some quick illustration. So basically, since we are using the zero base index, this A123 literal string is considered as the first position, but in index it starts from 0. So A is 0. The second one has 1 index, and the third one it's 2. Yeah, sort of like this. On the Visual Studio Code file menu, select save. Yes, straightforward. Let's just .NET.run, and there you go. FOO. Okay. Now we'll be playing with the use of length property of an array. If I'm not wrong, length is we already used the length property or just methods with string already, but I don't think we. I believe we can use length for array, which may be helpful and come in handy in later on. Okay, depending how the array is created, you may not know in advance how many elements an array contains. To determine the size of an array, you can use the length property. The length property of an array is not zero base. Not zero base. I see there. So it's something like this guy. It's not, this one is not zero base, but it starts from 1 and end with 3. Since this is just numbers of a value or elements, so they not start from 0. Okay, this code using the at the end of your code file, report the number or fraudulent error, enter the following code. Okay, let's see here. Console.write line, there are some has the fraudulent order to process. The answer should be here. This is variable, and the first one of the fraudulent order IDs variable is start from here. So this one, yeah, and then we got the property here, or just say, let's say methods dot length. The length is 3. 1 2 3. We don't do the length like this one, like 1 2, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. It's not like string. In string we know that each character is counted as one counter, but in array It's just the numbers of elements. Like if there are 3 positions here, the length will be 3. If there are like 10 positions inside of the array, it will count as 10. So this will be 3. Let's just run it and let's see what is the output here. I haven't saved it. That's why. .NET run must be 3. There are 3 fraudulent orders to process. Yes, exactly same like what I thought. Okay, recap here. Here's the most important things to remember when working with arrays. An array is a special variable that holds a sequence of related data elements. Sequence of related data. Related means if it's integer, all whole values must be integer, must be in numbers. If the data type of that array is string, all the whole values must be string, or just the whole elements, or let's say elements, values, positions must be string as well. If it char, it must be char for its values. If it double or just decimal, inside of the curly braces here must be decimal as well, with the fractional decimal. Okay, you should memorize the basic format of an array variable declaration. So here is the declaration mark that you want to memorize. It must have the square brackets here, and then for the value you have to put the curly braces of it. And of course it has multiple values, multiple elements, because we know this is an array. It will have at least one usually, but if it's just one, why not just use the normal variable? Why do you use array for just for single value? So yeah, that's how useful array is. Access its element of an array to set or get its value using a zero-based index inside of square brackets. Each element, okay, we already access each of the elements. Okay, this is how you actually access them one by one. Add or get its value using a zero-based index inside of square bracket. Yeah. If you attempt to access an index outside of the boundary of the array, you get a runtime exception. So if there are only 3 positions here, you can only manipulate them until 3, or the index until 2, because it starts from 0. If there are like 100 data, okay, 100 data, what should be the last, what it should be the final index? It should be 99, because it starts from 0. Yeah, it's just like 100 minus 1, or 50 minus 1, 1000 minus 1, always minus 1 when it comes to index, zero-based index. Okay, the last recap here is the length property gives you a programmatic way to determine the number of elements in an array. The length property gives you a programmatic way to determine the number of elements in an array. What is an array? An array is sequence of individual data elements accessible through a single variable name. Okay, sequence data elements accessible. Okay, another keyword. Single data variable name. Single variable name. A single variable has multiple individual data and it's accessible. Accessible means you can retrieve each of the elements. That's it. Easy. Which of this is a correct example of creating an array and initializing it? Okay, which of this is correct example? Creating an array. Let's see the upper one here. The first one is string my array is equal new string my array test1 my array test2. All of them has equivalent operator or assignment operator here. So let's see here. String my array is already correct. New string, okay, and with the semicolon, and then go to the next line. It must be my array. Yeah, my array equal to test1 my array. This doesn't have the open close square bracket. This doesn't specify any position for each value, so we don't know which one is gonna be replaced. Is it for the first position? Is it or for the third position? We don't know because it doesn't specify through the square open close brackets. Let's see the second one here. String 3. Okay, there is no new string here, no new instance operator. What shall you call this one? I forgot. Just let's say new instance. Maybe this one. Probably this is the correct one. Okay, integer. There is open close syntax here. There is a new operator here, a semicolon, and then the next line is my array 0 is equal to 1, and then okay, index 1 is for the first position, index 1 is for the second position here, the index 2 is for the third position here. So this is the correct one. Yes. Okay, let's break 10 minutes. We already reached the 60 minutes timer here. I'm still using the Pomodoro technique, 60 and 10 minutes for a break. Okay, let's break. Yes. Alright, let's continue to the unit 3. The next exercise is about the implement the foreach statement. Now we are going to be dealing with the foreach. Maybe this one is a little bit more different than for statement because this is for each statements. I don't know how it works. So let's continue. Suppose you work for a manufacturing company. The company needs you to complete an inventory of your warehouse to determine the number of products that are ready to ship. Okay, in addition, the total number of finished product. In addition, the total. Okay, you need to report the number of finished products stored in each individual bin in your warehouse, along with a running total. This running total will be used to create an audit trail so you can double check your work and identify. Okay, the company needs you to complete an inventory of your warehouse to determine the number of products. In addition to the total number of finished product, you need to report the number of finished products stored in each individual bin your house, along with a running total. This running total will be used to create an audit trail so you can double check your running. Okay, looping through an array using for each. The for each statements provides a simple, clean way to iterate through the element of an array. This is new for me, the new statement. Iterate through the element of an array. The for each statement process array element in increasing index order, starting with index O, still zero base index, and ending with index length -1. It uses a temporary variable to hold the value of the array element associated with the current iteration. Each iteration will run code block that's located below the first declaration. Here's the example. So we got the array of the string data types called names, and there are 3 positions here, 3 elements: Rowena, Robin, Bao. And the below of this array down here is for each statements, and inside here is string name in names. What is this thing? String name in names. Below the for each keyword, the code block that contains the console write line name block will execute once for each element of the names array. As the .NET runtime loops through each element of the array, the value stored in the current elements of the names array is assigned to temporary variable name for easy access inside of the code block. Wait a moment here. Okay, below, where is below here? Okay, the code block that contains console write line name will execute once for each element of the names array. As the .NET runtime through each element of the array, the value stored in the current element of the names, okay, here is assigned to the temporary variable names for its access inside of the code block. If you run the code, you will see the following result. Let's copy paste, not this one, but the code .NET run. Wait, okay, Rowena Robin Bow. It start from left to right side. Okay, string name. I think this is the second variable. It may be tricky. Why not just change this into like X so that you guys will understand? String, which we call, okay, string X. This is the second variable after names. Okay, for each means each of the elements will be executed one by one. Just what is it, depending on the .NET runtime loops. Yeah, so the .NET runtime loops through each element of the array. It will loops one by one from left to the right. There is how it works. Okay, string X in names. So the first loop, this is a loop statements. Okay, just like while, for, not for each. Yeah, for is different. For has 3 arguments, I think, or just 3, that's separated by 2 semicolon. Start from the initial. The middle one should be, I mean this one. Let me just illustrate it. Like integer I in a, and there is 0, and there is a conditional statement here, and finally is the increment or decrement, like this. It may look similar, but the purpose is actually different. This for it is related to arrays, and it's as well loop the iteration here, the statement, the declaration inside of the curly braces, but just using the arrays elements starting from left to the right. So the first iteration should be Rowena, and then looping. The second iteration will be Robin, looping again, and then the third one will be Bow, and then looping with the console.writeLine X inside of the declaration. Is it? Yeah. This is the declaration. Okay, let's see. Below the foreach keyword, the code block that contains the console.writeLine. Where is it? I think I did already read this before, so let's head to here. Use the for statement to create a sum of all items on hand in each bin of your house. It's bin order. Okay, create and initialize an array of integer. Now we're gonna be change mode to integer. Previously we're just using the string. Okay, ensure that you have an empty program.cs. Let's just use this one. Delete all. If necessary, open Visual Studio Code and then complete the following step to prepare a program.cs file in the editor. Pretty straightforward here. I just did the select all and press delete key to create an array of type integer that stores the number of finished product in each bin. Enter the following code here. Okay, so integer with the array special syntax, which is open close square bracket. The next one is should be the inventory. Continue with the curly braces for array. This is a kind of special syntax as well in array. Curly braces is for the values of the array. The values or the elements are 200, 450, and then 700, 175, 250. There you go. We got 5 elements inside of the inventory array variable here. Okay, add a for each statement to iterate through the array. Okay, the next thing we need to do is put the for each statements. So integer items as the second variable here in inventory. Okay, don't forget the statement, which is the curly braces. Notice that the for each statement temporarily assign the value of the current array element to an integer. Value of the current array element to an variable. Name items, yes. Integer item inside inventory. There are 5, so it must have 5 looping. I think if I see the previous example, it got 3 loops, so now it will be 5 loops. Okay, add a variables to sum the value of each element in the array. Let me guess first. What if I do I actually never reached the bottom one yet, so this is how I learn. I'm just keep curious how it works by doing some stuff like this, by guessing or just trying to do before seeing the example there right in the bottom one. So I'm just trying for the first one. So what I need to do is items is plus equal to inventory. I think inventory, don't forget the semicolon, and then we need to print out to see the result so I can see. And what is the process is right line items, yeah, items sorry, there's a little bit disruption here. Okay, console dot right line. So inside of the for each statement here will be loop about 5 times. So I guess I need to put here the items as the second variable. I mean as the total integer. Okay, every loops, the first iteration it will add 200. The second, and then it will have output of 200. The second iteration it will continue to the right side here. So 200 plus by 450 is equals, it will be 650, and it will print out 650 here, and so on until this. So let's just try. But here is my concept actually. Oh, cannot assign to item because it is a for iteration variable. I think I'm just gonna use a new one. Let's just use total. But don't forget to, oh yeah, integer, to declare what kind of data types is total is, and then we want to put total variable inside of the printing stuff here. So semicolon invalid. I see. Okay, let's just do like this. Integer is total, and then total. Use of national local variable total. Let's just set this, or just, is it possible void? Oh no. Let's just set this total to 0, and then total plus equal. I think I see there. What about the items? There you go. It works. Basically, it works. Total. Let's run my program. Okay, 260. Yeah, 6,550 is equal 200 equal 450 is equal 650. Okay, 650 equal by 700 is equal 1350, and then 1525, and then 1775. Yes, exactly like what I want. So let's check the example here, and I forgot the minutes here, the timer of my Pomodoro. Sorry for okay, what I have to do right now is notice that the first statement assign, ensure that your code match the following here. Yes. Oh, I did that already. Let's just use the same variable there, sum. Oh yeah, I see. I forgot this guy. Position the cursor, the blank code line above the for each statements. Okay, to declare a new variable that represent the sum of all finished product in your warehouse. Finished product in your warehouse. Enter the following code. Okay, integer sum is equal to 0. Ensure that you declare the variable outside of the for each statements. Outside. Oh yeah, it will be outside, or else the integer that is created inside of the for each statement will only work inside of it and cannot be recalled outside of the for each statements. Position the cursor. Okay. Position the cursor inside the code block of the for each statement here to add the current value stored in items. Stored in items there. To the sum variable, enter the following code. So yeah, sum plus equal items, like what I did. Ensure your code match the following. So for each, yes, exactly the same. Just without the console.writeLine, yeah. Display the final value of sum. Create a blank line below the code block of the for each statements. Right here, exactly, to report the final sum. Now report some item of your inventory. Enter the following code. Okay, so console.writeLine. dollar sign is for interpolation. We have a sum. This is interpolation expression. Items in inventory. What do you say inventory? Inventory. Oh yeah, inventory. Sometimes my pronunciation is a little bit inaccurate to the real English pronunciation. Just learning more about English. Okay, ensure that your code match the following here. Oh, this guy is outside of the for its statements. I see. It's fine. Let's just copy this guy. But actually the code is the same, just different the string here. We have the total number item in inventory. Okay, I see there. Let's okay, .NET run there 1775. There you go, we got so many items in inventory inside of our warehouse. Cool, yeah. Create a variable to hold the current bin number and display the running total. The current bin number and display the running total. I think I did that already, isn't it? To fulfill the final requirement of your inventory reporting project, you will need to create a variable that will hold the current iteration. Okay, to fulfill the final requirement of your inventory reporting object, you will need to create a variable that will hold the current iteration of the for each statement. So you can display the bin and the count of finished item in that bin along with the running total of all times of bins accounted for so far. Wait, so let me understand this passage a little bit. So you have to create a blank code line above for each statement, right above it to declare integer variable name bin that initialize to 0, enter the following code, and then we got new bin here. The same thing like sum. We set it to 0 just for the initial number. That's fine. You will use bin to store the number of the bin whose inventory is currently being processed. Okay, inside the for each code block, to increment bin each time the code block is executed, enter the following code. Okay, bin plus plus inside of the for each code block. Inside the for each code block. Okay, it will be like this, I think. To report the bin number, the number of finished product in the bin, and the running total of finished product, enter the following code inside the for each code block after bin. Okay, right after the bin plus plus or increment bin here with the increment operator. That's like will be like this. I did that before actually. This code will use your counter variable bin the temporary for its variable item and your sum variable to report the current state of your environment is a nicely formatted message. Ensure that your code match the following. Okay, it already matched there. Save the change to your program.cs file and then run the application. You should see the following output here. Let's just run this program. Bid 1 is 200 items, running total. Okay, cool. That's kind of cool because the first one is bin. Bin is equal. Okay, bin. Then we got items here and then we got sum here. So yeah, let me understand this part a little bit, because bin, how can bin 1 is equal to 200, bin 2 is equal to 450, and etc. here. We know that bin is equal to 0, and then we come to inside of the for each statement, the first iteration, bin is equal to, I think is equal to 1, yeah. The first thing is equal to 1. What about if I put that right after the print things here? Maybe I will mess it around. No. Oh, I see. My mistake there. My mistake. Items that it will be start from the 200 to 250 items. I see. Okay, continue to the recap. Here's a few things to remember about for each statements and increment values that you learn in this unit. Use the for each statement to iterate through each element in an array, executing the associated code block once for each statement element in the array. Use the for each statement. Each element, okay, like left to the right side, yeah, one by one, executing to associated code block for. The for each statement sets the values of the current element in the array to temporary variable, which you can use in the body of the code block. Use the plus plus or just increment operator to add 1 to the current value of a variable. We already learned this before. In the part 1, there will be a module for increment things like about the operation and mathematics. Not just increment, but the compound assignment, which is very helpful for the next stuff here. And then this guy is for each statement here, sets the value of the current of the current element in the array to a temporary variable. Oh, so the item is just a temporary variable which you can use in the body. Okay, so I think I cannot use the items variable because item variable outside of the for each statement, because it say that the items is temporarily variable. So what if I put items is sum is equal to items there? What will happen actually? The name items doesn't exist in the current context. Yeah, because items is only access inside of the for each statements is just uh is considered as the temporary variable here. How do you pronounce temporarily? Actually, temporary. Temporary. All right, temporary. Temporary. Next unit. Let's just go to the next unit. Unit 4. All right. Some another exercise here. Complete a challenge activity for nested iteration. Okay, complete the challenge activity for nested iteration and selection statements. Complete the challenge. Now, again, about nested iteration and selection statement. What is selection statements actually? Code challenge reinforce what is next? Oh, review. So this unit is must be our challenge, my challenge today. You can guys try this challenge as well. Try to examine and try it yourself of this challenge. Okay. Of course, fraudulent order challenge. Earlier in this module, you set out to write code that will store order IDs belonging to potential fraudulent order. Your goal is to find fraudulent order as early as possible and flag them to for deeper analysis. Analysis. Code challenge. So report the order IDs that need further investigation. Your team has found a pattern order that start with the letter B, encounter fraud at the rate like 25 times greater than the normal rate. You write new code that outputs the order ID of new order where the order ID start with the letter B. This will be used by the fraud team to investigate further. Use the following steps to complete this challenge. Ensure that you have an empty program CS. Okay, so why not just we? I think just make this as a comment. Okay, just make this as a comment. In case I want to see back about my knowledge about some this mini documentation. All right. Use the following steps to complete this challenge. Ensure that you have if necessary. On the file, straightforward here. Declare an array and initialize it to contain the following elements. These values represent the fraudulent order ID data that your application use. Create a for each statement to iterate. So we will be playing around again with the for each statement. Try to recall back what you have learned with the for each statements. Okay, report the order IDs that start with the letter B. So our task is just report the one that has B in the first character. So this guy, and this down here. So there are like 3B. Yeah, in the output here, in the list, in the arrays. Okay, report the order IDs. You need to evaluate each element of the array. Evaluate. Report the potentially fraudulent order IDs by detecting the order that start with the letter P to determine whether or not an element start with the letter P. Use the string start with method. Here's a simple example how to use the string start with method that you can adapt for your code. So this is new methods for me. Let's see how it works here. String name is equal to Bob. Okay, if name start with B, what will happen next is console.writeLine. The name starts with B. This is sort of like a report message that this variable has. It indicates a letter B inside of pop name. So that's how it works. So we can adapt this concept, this method to our project in this code challenge. So let's continue. Why not? Okay, this is the list of array, and the real output should be like this with B 1 2 3, and then the second B, the third B. Okay, there's tip here. Here's hint. As you look through each element, you will need to an if. Okay, let's do it without loop, without hint. I will try it myself first before seeing the hint, and then if I get stuck again, I will see. I'll try to understand more with the reviews or the solution. I think so. This one is should be easy. Okay, we make the array first. How to create an array? Yes, of course. Start with any data types, but this one we are gonna be using the string data types, and don't forget the square open close brackets, open close square brackets. Continue with the variable of the array. Let's say fraudulent order ID. Fraudulent order IDs like this, and we still have some list of fraudulent IDs here, starting from the B 1 2 3, and then C 2 3 4, A 3 4 5, C 1 5. Okay, let's continue to the next guy. Here is we got 4 more. Oh, I see. B177, G3003, C235, B179. Okay, that's it. So semicolon. Okay. Next thing is maybe some declaration or initialize thing like data types or new variable, or just immediately to the for each statement, for each, and let's see. String, what is it? Let's just say real fraudulent IDs, which is P. In fraudulent order ID here, and then the curly braces. What we gonna do after that is let's start from the left side, right? B1 and then goes to the right. the name start with B. Okay, I'm gonna use the if name statement like this. Uh, if real fraudulent IDs. Okay, that's it. Start with, yeah. We use the start with method to identify is there any B, then what will happen is I think just store immediately or just print out that immediately. So the one who doesn't have P inside of the element will not be printed out. So just immediately goes to display output, console.readline, real fraudulent IDs, I think. If not, then else, just output nothing. So I don't need else, I think. Let's run this program. Will it works or no? .NET run. Yes, exactly. First try. Yeah. Okay, let's see the tip here. Okay, let's check the output first. Is my output work or no? Yes, the same thing, right? Here's hint: as you loop through each element in your array, you'll need an if statement. If the if statement will need to use a method on the string class to determine if a string start with a specific letter on the string. Okay, specific letter like B. Yeah? If you are not sure how to use an if statement, please see the module back in my previous video. Okay, whether you get stuck, need a quick solution, you finish successfully, continue. Okay, let's review our stuff here. Okay, string order ID. This is fraudulent order. Maybe this one I can consider as semi fraudulent order or just a nearly fraudulent order, but actually it's order IDs. It's just a normal ID, and the fraudulent one is the one who has P letter on that element. So yeah, order ID and order IDs basically the same thing. Start with P, console.writeLine, order ID, just different with the variable. All right, this code is merely one possible solution because a lot depends on how you decided to implement the logic. As long as you get the right result over the rules in the challenge, at least my output is the same like the expected result in the code snippet previously here. Okay, and you use an array and the for each statement. Yes, I did it already. Then you did create grid. If you succeeded, congratulations, continue. Okay. Some important here. If you had trouble completing this challenge, maybe you should review the previous unit before you continue on. View. Okay, knowledge check right now is which of the following can be used to access the third element in an array? Third element here, it will be here because remember the zero base index. Zero base index. It starts from 0. 0 is as the first element. 1 is the second element, and the and 2 is the third element. And also why there are like three index here, yeah, with the same answer. It just show that the second one is the correct answer. Of course, which of the following choice describe the correct way to create a new integer array with the three elements? Which of the following choice describe the correct way to create a new integer? It should be start with integer because this is array. We use the open close square brackets and then continue the variable equivalent or just assign to new int. All right, three elements. So this guy will be the best answer. Elements, okay, the number of elements inside of the new instance here, it doesn't start from 0, or it doesn't use the system of 0 base index, so it starts from 1 for numbers of elements. So this is the correct one. Okay, let's continue to the third question here. Which of the following for each statement is syntactically correct? Okay, in syntax, about syntax, yeah. For its in, it should be in. I read this as inside, integer value, inside values of should be wrong, with the should be wrong. Pretty straightforward. Yes, congratulations, I did a correct one here. Okay, your goal is to work with a sequence of order ID. Okay, some summary here. Maybe a quick read here. Your goal in this module was to work with a sequence of order IDs programmatically to identify potential fraudulent orders. You created an array of order IDs, yes, like this one. Then iterated through each element of the sequence looking for a common fraud rate. With the for each, you can loop these elements from the left side to the goes to the right. Yeah, that's how you iterate the elements inside of the arrays. And then arrays enable you to store each order ID as an element of a single, just a single variable. You can have multiple multiple elements, as many as you want. Just depends on your memory. You address a specific element of the array using an index. We see here, is there such an example here? So essentially, just when you want to access the elements inside of the arrays, you just want to use the variable back, and then don't forget the open close bracket with the 0 base index, and index is should be start from 0 as the first elements here. 1 should be the second elements, and 2 should be the third elements, and etc. until your max limit of your elements. Okay, you were able to retrieve and set the value of each element. You iterated through the elements of the array to inspect or output its elements value. You know how to retrieve and set value of each element, right? Or just reassign again. Basically, just like what I say, what you need to do is just put variable name the same like the starting point here, and then continue with the open close bracket with the 0 base index, just to retrieve and set, or just reassign it again. Yeah. Imagine how difficult. Wait, what is it? You iterate through the element of the array, inspect or output each element. Imagine how difficult it will be to handle related data in your code if you didn't have a structure like an array. What if we don't have array? Instead, we just have a normal variable with only single data that every variables, single container, single data, single values. It will be very tedious. You will need to know ahead of time just how many data elements you expected to work with and define a separate variable for its value. That will create a brittle solution. Of course, very tedious, very crazy work. No one will do programming if there is an array system. Okay, arrays can be sized when created according to the amount of data you need to work with. Basically, essentially, if you know what is two-dimensional arrays, it will be more less complicated. If you know how to do the second array things like 2D arrays using the horizontal and vertical grid, that is just more complex than the single line of arrays. Okay, as you become even more familiar with arrays and similar data structure, you will often use them in your application to process and manage data. So this is just the basic of data structure with arrays. Yeah, very come in handy for any purpose, especially in managing database. If you're backend, you will play a lot with array. So that's it. Let's complete the module. We got the trophy here for store and iterate through a sequence of data using arrays and the first statement in the C#. Okay, let's go back to the free code camp and let's finish this question. Which of the following four statement is syntactically correct? In, of course. Check your answer. Wait. Oh, I haven't checked list this. Yes, sir. Okay, submit. Okay, so I did just 50% completed for this part 2. Okay, thank you for today. We just learned the basic of data structure, which is arrays. So many things that we can use for our projects. Maybe after this, I will make some projects with arrays since it's very useful for grid, especially, and some stuff like database. I want to put some list, maybe for my friends. Yeah, so many of them, and this is how you see the documentation. If you want to see some new methods that you haven't discovered yet, we just discover like random here, random class, and then math class, and then the new one is start with. Yeah, start with. Wait, where is the start with? Start with here. What class is start with? Is it's string. It's string. Yeah, start with, or just contain of. Okay, start with. Okay, that's for today. Until the next video, goodbye.